Okay, at the beginning of this issue of the Marketing Direct Journal, I told you we're going to be talking about the 5 common things missed in your infomercial and television contracts. So if you're interested in getting a product sold in infomercials or spot TV via a vendor or a syndicator or marketing partner, you need to listen up, because these 5 things will not only save you millions, but they can help you make millions more with your television products. All coming up next on the Marketing Direct Journal. Here we're back, and I was talking about the 5 areas that are missed in contract negotiations for spot television and for infomercial marketing. And as you know, spot and infomercials is now the wave of the future. With over 55% of all adult Americans buying through TV, it has now become a major force of product distribution. Now, Fred, what would you say are some of the most important issues to cover in contract negotiations, since we've been through it together?
Well, you have to consider several points. I mean, we'll give you 5, but the big points that we need to cover are: 1, when is the program actually going to be on the air? Talk about that a little bit.
Let's talk about that. Now, in your contracts, when you're negotiating with an infomercial provider or a spot provider, one of the things you need to be aware of is the fact that you can have what I call drop-dead dates in your contract. That is dates that the show must be produced by and on the air. If you don't, there have been instances in our industry that contracts have been signed and the show has drug on for 4 or 5 months, 8 or 9 months, 12, 13, 14, 15 months in the development stage, and have never gotten to the airways. So an important factor to lock in your television syndicator is to agree to what I call a drop-dead date, that the show must be produced and on the air by a certain date. And please remember, there are always complications in any process. I'm not saying something that you use to terminate your contract, but something that you use to manage your contract along.
How about the multiple show agreement in a contract?
What I did is looking back over this industry, and I've started putting this into all the new contracts that I negotiate for vendors or manufacturers of product, is that over the years in the infomercial business, there have been 2 types of companies that have evolved. There are the highly specialized development companies, something like where they'll take a product and they'll develop that product for several years. And then there's other companies that I would say are the operations of getting a hit product, maximizing it as quick as possible, and then going on to the next. One of the things I like to do is to build the long-term success of a product as long as it's possible. And one of the ways I accomplish that in contract negotiations is by getting agreements for multiple shows.
Correct. Here's a good one for you. Performance requirements.
Now, as I do in every contract, is I believe if you're going to partner with vendors in television, credit cards, print, home shopping, whatever the case may be, every one of my contracts include what I call a performance requirement. You can't just be in a situation of what I call weakness when it comes to negotiation. This is now a high-stakes game with high rewards, and you want your product treated with the respect that it deserves. Not is it any longer take my product please, but it's here, I have a good product, concept, and pitch. I want somebody who's going to pay attention to it. Therefore, in my contracts, I negotiate a performance requirement. Let's say it's a product that sells for $59. I would recommend anywhere from 100 to a 300,000 unit a year performance requirement that's either reconciled on a yearly, a 6-month, or a once every quarter basis depending upon the product. That way, if you have a syndicator that is not, so we say, aggressively moving forward with your product, that you're no longer dead in the water, which leads us to another point, and that's what I call buying back the show or the rights to move on. With performance requirements, You have a way to work with the syndicator that if the show is no longer successful for them or does not turn out the way they expected, that you can move on. Let me give you a good example. If you're dealing with one of the national companies that owns block time, because their media dollars expended is already fixed and is such a huge burden, they are driven by sometimes not developing continual shows, but the one that gets the profit the quickest so they can pay those fixed costs. Well, where they might run the top 4 or 5 shows, what happens when your show becomes number 6 or number 7 on the profit scale? Well, you're no longer, should we say, you might not be a focus of their company. So if you have performance requirements and a show buyback clause, you're able, once you hit that number 6 or 7 mark, you're able to pull it out, work with them, usually on a royalty basis, go back to another company where you might become their number 1 product, and you've shifted the focus and drive of your product all over again.
That's an excellent point. How about back-end rights?
This is probably the most important factor facing our industry today. Just as little as 3 years ago, we were only an infomercial and a spot business when it came to television. There have always been print entities, direct mail entities, credit cards, catalogs, etc., but they were never successfully combined together. A good example is triple-edge windshield wipers. With over 20 million sold, less than 10% of those, significantly less than 10% of those were sold on television. The remaining 90% were sold from the back-end marketing efforts. That's direct mail, print, catalogs, stuff like home shopping networks, inserts, premiums, whatever the case may be. So you're now in a situation as a product manufacturer or product owner or a product specialist to demand more from your contracts. It's no longer a game of just TV. You have more to negotiate with. And I believe firmly that in your formula should be someone that either can execute the back end for you that has that experience, or you should go with a company that can deliver it for you, because you're talking 10 to 20 times more sales on the back end than you're ever going to get from the infomercial. So know your strength on the back end. Know what your bargaining chips are. You're now coming to the table with a royal flush, not a take my product please. Negotiate from strength. Withhold the rights that the companies can't execute on. Keep the rights that you can execute on, and partner with the right people to maximize your sales success. If you use all of these in not only planning your products, but negotiating your products. Remember, we've talked about this from a contract standpoint. You might be deciding to do your own show. Each one of these techniques, if you're doing your own show, still applies. Know the strength, know the weakness, and know how to maximize. And that's the key to making millions more with your television products in direct response mass marketing.
Very good.
Welcome back to the Marketing Direct Journal. You know, we spoke earlier about one of the areas, in fact, it happens to be one of the back-end areas that we talk about on the Marketing Direct Journal's audio series entitled But Wait, There's More. Now, this particular area delivers over 12 billion printed exposures for products to the American public. This area? Well, it's catalog mail order marketing, and let me break it down for you. Every man, every woman, every child from 1 year old to 100 years old gets a catalog a week every week of their life. Now let me break it down to the ridiculous. That's over 380 catalogs delivered to customers in the United States every second. And by the time this interview is over, for this segment, over 342,000 Americans will have received an offer via catalog mail order marketing. Now with us today we have Jess Clark of Catalog Solutions. Now Jess and Catalog Solutions developed the rep-only style of dealing with catalog mail order marketers. Now these are the people that have the catalog industry's ear. They've been in the business for over 12 years, and you've seen them sell products in catalogs like DD7, Dealer Mill, ThighMaster, Frankie Avalon Zero Pain, the Bruce Jenner Super Step, and the newest spot phenomenon, the Topsy Tail. Please welcome to the Marketing Direct Journal, Jess Clark.
Thank you, Jovan.
Now, Jess, we've talked about how big catalogs is, and we know it's a phenomenal business, but how are as seen on TV products changing the catalog industry?
Well, it's changed the industry in a way that now catalogers seek out, look for, call, request anything that's as seen on TV, that they can put the little red screen on their page and promote it as an as seen on TV item. I've had experiences where the as seen on TV product has gone 13 times break even for a cataloger. That's like a phenomenal, unheard of results.
And all of that driven by the product's exposure on television. Now, Jess, have you noticed a difference between infomercial-driven products and spot-driven products?
Not significantly. Both sell very, very well, and the catalogers, the merchandisers are looking for both the spot as well as the infomercial items. It seems that the spot people can have a much longer life because they can continue to run a 2-minute spot, maybe years, like DD7 you'll still see running, because they're running it as a build traffic for the retailer at this point, 4 years into their life.
Now, Jess, what have you found being in the catalog business for so long? You know, when you first started, TV didn't play an important role. How has it changed? I mean, you talked about 13 times break even. What happened before the advent of this fantastic TV marketing? What was the standard then?
Well, the standard then, they were looking for a winner might be 2 or 3 times break even. That might be a great item. Until DD7 really came along, which was sort of like the pioneer in catalogs, getting a 3-time break even was acceptable. Now, the TV products are doing so well that many catalogers will put it on their back cover or their front cover even before testing it. In other words, there's such a demand for as seen on TV items that catalogers will give it prime position without seeing if it'll work, because they know as seen on TV items do work.
So basically you're kind of circumventing the time process. It's a lot quicker now if you have a television product. What can I expect to happen with the catalog? First off, of the average catalogs you deal with, how many catalogs are they mailing annually?
Well, to give you a little background, there are 7,000 catalogs produced in the United States. I have on my computer and keep track 684. Now I figure these 684 do about 80% of the U.S. dollar volume in catalogs, and they represent the 80-20 rule. So these 684 catalogs I track and do mailings to on a weekly basis, offering them new products from vendors like the as seen on TV vendors. I sell to over 200 of these people, and they expect to do what you might say a basic order of two or three gross to begin with, and you might say, well, that's not very much. But I've had situations where people have bought 2,000 units for the opening order. The second order was $22,000, and the third order was $20,000, for a total of $44,000 within 3 weeks of the catalog hitting and the first orders appearing.
Now, how quick is it to get results? You go into a catalog. How quick do the catalogers start seeing results of these mailings?
Oh, within 10 days. Most of them are computerized so specifically that they will know in the first 5 days worth of what you call posting. In other words, 5 days worth of orders, and especially one good Monday, they can project what they're going to do for the life of the catalog.
How long is the life of a catalog, speaking of that, from the time it's mailed to the time that catalog stops producing any reasonable sales? How long does the catalog last out there?
2 months. About 2 months, and by the time the 2 months are up, they've dropped another catalog. And most catalogs will mail at least to their buyer file 9 times a year. That doesn't mean they're going to produce 9 catalogs, because many of them will produce a total of 4 unique print runs and change their covers so that they can actually drop what looks like 9 different catalogs, some of which have just a cover change.
Now, you found a difference in positioning, correct? Instead of being like one item of 4 or 5 or 3 on a page, you found a difference between successful TV products. I know some of your vendors do covers and stuff like that. Tell me the difference if you have a hot product when your exposure with a catalog company.
Well, the seasoned catalogers like Taylor Gifts is a good example. He can sense, based on just watching his own TV or what I might be able to tell him or what the market is saying, that this item is in rollout. And so rollout is an important message to the savvy catalogers. If it's in rollout, then the next question is, does the product fit the category of my customer base? If it's a gift and gadget catalog that's basically a household item, and it's in rollout, there's a very good chance it would get either center spread, back cover, or possibly, like Suzanne Summers did and Richard Simmons did and Topsy Tail did, a front cover position, even without testing.
Now, Jess, what would you say now for our listeners out there that have a product, okay? They might be going through the process right now, or they might be thinking about getting in. First off, what would you call successful? How many units of an item would be successful for you to sell for them if the majority of the catalogs that you rep to on behalf of these people out there, how many units would be done?
Well, that again is hard to tell and different regarding the time span, but I'll put it this way. An item like the ones I've mentioned will produce unit sales of somewhere between 100 to 300,000 units if it's successful on TV and it's in a rollout mode, and I get the product early in the life cycle of it, and I can get out to the Hanover Houses and the Harriet Carters and the Finger Huts and the Miles Kimballs and the Walter Drakes quickly and catch them at a period when they're doing their quarterly catalogs, and have the celebrities photograph the key element, and this might be the personality, it might be a description, like the flying lure has a very descriptive way of this fishing lure going under a log, those kind of things that are easily remembered from the TV commercial. If I have the copy, the celebrity, and the prime illustration, those 3 ingredients, quickly, that's when we can do and capture 100 to 300,000 units.
Now, you talked about quickly. Okay, I've got a successful television product. I've got a successful infomercial product. From the time you and I can come to a deal for you to represent my product, let's say, what's the soonest I can appear in a catalog?
About 2 months.
About 2 months' time. Now, from that 2 months' time, Jess, that we're into a catalog, how long is it before you could be in what's called a substantial rollout in catalogs?
4 months, 4 to 5 months.
Okay, now, Jess, how would I work with you? I have this product now. It's 2 to 4 months between you can get me in some or you can get me to a rollout. How do I work with you? I have a product. What do I do?
Well, I act as a manufacturer's rep, and I work on a commission. The commission is usually 10%, and what I do for my 10% is I attend the trade shows, I do weekly mailings, I make personal sales calls, do tremendous amount of telephone follow-up sales. I have a full staff here that does the follow-up work and the periodic mailings. What you can do is to get that ammunition, which is the data about your product, to me as quickly as possible. What I need is a sales sheet, and if you don't have a sales sheet, I'll do it for you. I need the price, and usually a 2-time markup is satisfactory if you're in rollout. Most products I take to catalogs that do not have as seen on TV status, I need a 3-time markup.
So let's say if I had a $50 item on TV then we're going to offer it to the catalogs for
$25.
$25. So if I have a $60 item and I'm not on TV, and so I'm going to offer it to the catalogs for
About $20 to $25.
about $20 to $25.
For most vendors, but that's the going situation now because of the success of the As Seen on TV merchandise, pushing away non-As Seen on TV items.
Now, what I understand, Jess, is Catalog Solutions, since we've worked together on products like the Human Calculator, etc., that you actually set the companies or the entrepreneurs up directly with the catalog companies, and the orders and revenues come directly to them, correct?
That's right. The orders go directly to the vendor. Usually we get the first order and relay it, so everything is squared away. And then monthly, the vendor pays me a commission based on, let's say, 10% of the sales that product did with that catalog.
Now, what I'd like to point out for our listeners, if you'll look in your package this month, you'll find an insert from Catalog Solutions. Now, what Jess is offering is a review of your product, basically a catalog mail order evaluation and what he can do for you. Now, I urge you to call Catalog Solutions. They're in Westport, Connecticut. You can reach Jess, and that's Jess, at area code 203-454-1919. Now, in closing, Jess, what would you say is the most important thing that to our listeners they must remember about catalog marketing and what they must prepare for to be a success at it?
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It sounds not as important as it really is. A still shot of the celebrity and a still shot of that key ingredient in the commercial that can be translated to the printed page. If they can remember when they're doing their filming that they have a still photographer nearby and taking these candid shots, knowing that what they're after is a better presentation in a page on a catalog, that's what the infomercial producer can best remember to help his catalog sales.
So with that one simple shot, they're prepared for catalogs. So, Jess, I'd like to thank you for being with us today. Now, folks, remember, you can reach Jess Clark at Catalog Solutions at area code 203-454-1919. Now, remember, look in your package. There's a product evaluation that you can have Jess do for you to evaluate the feasibility of your product getting into mail order catalogs all across the United States. Now, I'd like to point out, if you're going to be at the National Infomercial Marketing Association's mid-year conference in New York City, remember to look up Jess Clark. He'll be there. You can meet this man face-to-face and shake his hand and discuss the possibility of featuring your products in mail order catalogs. Welcome back to the Marketing Direct Journal. You just heard a very in-depth interview with Jess Clark of Catalog Solutions and the phenomenon of selling as seen on TV products in mail order catalogs. Our next guest with us is one of the earlier merchandisers of as seen on TV products in mail order catalogs. He recognized the trend before any others of why as seen on TV products should be prominently featured in his mail order catalogs. Please welcome to the Marketing Direct Journal, Reed Taylor of Taylor Gifts.
How are you?
Fantastic. Now, Reed, we keep on hearing about this phenomenon of as seen on TV products, and they're making catalog sales go through the roof. Tell us what Taylor Gifts catalogs experience have been with as seen on TV products.
Well, you know, that's true that TV products do drive the entire catalog, and we're thrilled to have them. On a per capita basis, Americans spent a total of about $400 each in mail order in last year. And mail order product sales are equivalent to 82% of the combined top 100 department stores. So we think mail order is a great secondary market for the as seen on TV products, and we're experiencing phenomenal growth in that field.
Now, when you talk about growth, really how big is it? What used to be standard for a catalog item, and now with all this infomercial and direct response TV marketing, what's happened in those categories?
We can hit an item at the proper time when it's being rolled out on television, and if we can put it on our cover, as we have successfully done in the last few issues, it can be 5 times stronger than any typical product we have in our catalog. So it really is a fantastic place for those TV folks to be.
Now, do you find there's a tremendous amount of continuity, or let's say tie-in, when you feature these stars and celebrities on the front and back cover? Do more of your readers or buyers pay attention to the catalog?
It lifts the whole catalog. It not only gives an implied endorsement to the particular product that they're endorsing, but it helps the entire catalog in the sense that they might be perceived as endorsing the entire catalog. So we're happy to have it.
Now, with Taylor Gifts catalogs, how often do you go out and how many people do you reach?
Well, we have 5 issues a year, and we reach approximately 20 million people with those issues. We have no specific deadline cutoffs on these products or issues. We always have something in the fire, so we're most anxious that the suppliers just get the item to us, let us get it in the next edition that's coming up, and we'll take it from there.
Now, is there any type of a standard catalog profile? I mean, what's an average catalog purchase consist of?
Well, the average order in our case might be in the $50 range, but really we feature retails anywhere from a low of $4.98 retail all the way up to $200 retail. So with 600 products, we really do run the gamut, and we really don't experience any price resistance on TV products or any other products.
And how many times will your catalog buyers, a seasoned catalog buyer, buy from a catalog like yours?
Well, there's certainly multiple purchases within the year. Our house file is extremely strong in the sense that they keep coming back for our offers, and the TV products really has helped that as well.
Now, what have you found in dealing with people? You know, we talked earlier with Jess Clark of Catalog Solutions. How do they help you bridge the gap or the liaison between the people that have products? Do they expedite the process? How well do you work with them?
People like Jess Clark, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're very helpful in educating the TV product vendor on what mail order is all about. We don't have as much time as Jess does to educate those vendors on the intricacies of mail order. Although it's really not that complicated, it's just that the vendors perceive that it may be a tad more complicated than retail, which it really isn't.
Now, how would, if I have a product out there and I wanted to talk directly to you or one of your buyers about the product, where would I reach Taylor Gifts?
Well, you can call us. We're located in Wayne, Pennsylvania, and we can be reached at 215-688-3046, and they're welcome to ask directly from me.
Well, there you go, listeners. You can reach Reed Taylor at Taylor Gifts at 215-688-3046. Catalog mail order marketing is one of the key areas for increasing your as seen on TV products profits. It's vital. Get involved now. I really suggest you pick up the phone and talk to Reed or talk to Jess and consider getting your products into the world of catalog mail order marketing. And we'd like to thank you, Reed, for joining us on this issue of the Marketing Direct Journal.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome back to the Marketing Direct Journal. You know, over the last few months, our industry, the industry of direct response mass marketing and infomercials, has received a tremendous amount of exposure and acclaim from the outside world. You know, infomercials have been featured, and infomercial personalities such as Susan Powder, Stop the Insanity, was featured on Good Morning America. And just recently on the Home Show dedicated an entire program to the phenomenon of infomercial marketing. Well, the other day I happened to be watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and I saw a special program on our next guest. You know, it took Mary Kay Ash of Mary Kay Cosmetics 15 years to build up a cosmetic organization that would do $1 million annually in sales, where our next guest did it in her first week of infomercial sales. Please welcome to the Marketing Direct Journal, Victoria Jackson.
Well, thanks, Jovan.
Now, Victoria, I know that a lot of our listeners out there probably didn't get an opportunity to see the lifestyle feature, and it had some incredible information about how you got started in this business. How about sharing with us how you built your organization, where did it begin, and what made you choose Infomercials?
Well, I think what a lot of people don't know is that I did start 13 years ago. You know, people think, oh, what an overnight success, but it was 13 years overnight, and I started as a makeup artist, and I basically always loved working with color, and I had started on the line in the department stores. It's called the Line Girl for Clinique, and I started here in Bullocks Westwood in California, and I worked with lots of different products, and I was always experimenting with different products, and basically as a makeup artist never found anything that I really quite loved, and decided after a couple of years of working for Clinique and Borghese and Lancome and having a lot of experience with cosmetics that I wanted to develop what I felt which was lacking at the time, which was a wonderful foundation, a base product that would allow me as a makeup artist to share with women my views of a no-makeup makeup, a foundation that would let women look really naturally beautiful. And that was sort of the beginning of my ideas of, you know, my entrepreneurial thinking in terms of this product.
So this actually started when you were going about your normal career in cosmetics at times, standing behind a counter, getting feedback from women and what they wanted and what you found didn't work. It kind of became your passion, and you turned it into now an incredible, phenomenally successful career.
Exactly.
Well, you had this passion and this information, and you found that the public was obviously receptive to it. Now, how did you go from these classes you were teaching and take it into the mass marketing arena? Well, folks, for the answer to that question, which I just asked Victoria, you're going to have to hold on to your seats and wait for the next issue of the Marketing Direct Journal, where we'll bring you this entire interview with infomercial pioneer Victoria Jackson in its entirety. Welcome back to the Marketing Direct Journal. You know, on the last issue of the Marketing Direct Journal, I promised you a series of stories from the retailer standpoint on how as seen on TV products are revolutionizing the retail business. And with us today is the Executive Vice President of Hardlines for one of the top 10 retailing chains in the United States, Venture Stores. Please welcome to the Marketing Direct Journal, Cal Eller. Now, Cal, you know, in our industry, we have heard some phenomenal results at retail. We've heard that sales can be increased 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times fold when you have a successful product on TV. What has been your experience at Venture Stores with as seen on TV products?
We've experienced an incredible amount of business in the millions. In 1992, we must have had 10 or 15 items as a company that generated millions of dollars in terms of sales.
Now, Cal, you know, we know that TV products, as seen on TV products, are kind of a sacred product within the store system. What does Venture Stores do as additional promotions for as seen on TV type products?
Well, we give it prime location in terms of our circulars. Many times we run it on the front cover of our circular. But not only do we put these items on end caps in our stores, which are many times tied into a continuous loop tape, we also have set up a separate section in our stores where we merchandise all of our top as seen on TV products with signing and display. Therefore, the customer has an opportunity to find this item in more than one location in our stores.
Now, how much of it has an impact has television marketing, both just traditional direct response and spot, but infomercials? How much of an impact does that have on your sales? How big is it?
Well, when I look across all categories, and there are many, whether it's exercise equipment or small appliances or color waxes for your car, or the number of items, it really is in the millions of dollars.
Now, we've heard, let's take the Amazing Discoveries Juice Tiger, which I know you sold in your stores, and let's look at like the Snackers steamers, juicers, etc., have been around for 15, 20, 25 years. Now, prior to the infomercial being a generic brand sitting on the shelf, and then after the infomercial, what was the difference in the way that these products moved off your shelf?
Well, typically what happens as these items are successful on TV and the customers demand these products, the manufacturers have difficulty keeping up with the demand. But we, as a result of that, customers are coming in looking for juice tigers, or they're looking for steamers. So they'll buy anything on your shelf. And many of these items that we may have been selling one piece per store per week, we're selling as many as 10, 15, 20 pieces per store per week because it pulls the whole category through.
So you're finding that television exposure via infomercial direct response is increasing sales per category by almost 10 times or more.
Yes.
Now, Cal, when, on the behalf of the retailer, one of the big questions in the industry is, when do I get involved in retail? And then the second question is, aren't the retailers going to cut my price, and that's going to affect my sales in my infomercial or spot? How does Venture Stores address those issues?
Well, I think the successful marketing people will typically ask the retailer to run an item at a given price. Therefore, I think they keep the price point high and they don't jeopardize their TV sales. And in many cases, some of our items, the only thing a customer saves when they walk into our store is the shipping and handling. So they may only save $5. They may only save $10 on some items, but they have instant gratification. Instead of having to wait for the mail order, they can walk into the store and walk out with the product.
Cal, as a person who has product that is a hit on TV and I want to put it into retail, what is my lead time for getting it into your store, number one? And number two, must I redo my packaging?
In some cases, I think the packaging needs to be looked at, but I believe in 80% of the cases, the packaging that I have seen would work in our stores. All you need is, you'd like to have a full-color box. If you can't get a full-color box, many times a label will be acceptable. But I like to get these new items in Venture before our competition gets them. And in many cases, I'll run with this item before it's even proven on TV if it's available, because I think in many of the marketers' point of view, they want to bring it to retail very quickly, and so we'll take a chance as well. We'll gamble a little bit as well and get it in to be the first with it and take advantage of it early, and we're usually able to react very quickly in terms of our circular advertising.
Excellent.
So now, when you have these successful TV products, let's take a look at the difference between a generic item, something in our industry that's non-proprietary, like a juicer. There's several juicers out there, or as opposed to something like triple-edge windshield wipers, which is something that's patented and proprietary. Is there a difference between the length of success these products have in your store?
Yes, I think that the item needs to be maintained. The demand needs to be created, first of all, but you have to maintain it if you want to keep the demand up.
Now, have you found a direct correlation between the maximum amount of exposure on television or through the back-end marketing efforts and your sales? And when the television stops, do your sales stop at the same time, which is always a common question? Or how long does that trickle-over effect last before you start to see a difference in sales?
It depends on the item, in all honesty. There are some items that within 30 days, the item drops off significantly. There are some items that have a little longer life than that. Some will go as long as 3 or 4 months. It really depends on the item.
Now, how much, Cal, does the margin built into the product? You know, as an industry, we have to have significant margins to make the product work on television. But when it comes to retailing, it's a incredibly different animal, because now we're dealing with what in some cases might be factoring or carrying the notes on a product, since we're a cash-intensive business almost immediately.
Right.
What kind of margins does a retailer traditionally work on?
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of my concerns, and I've seen it begin to happen with certain people, is that the margins really need to be at least at our departmental financial plan level. I mean, if a small electrics buyer, as an example, runs a department at 16% margin, I'm just using that number hypothetically, then that item that's on TV, for us really to get behind it and give it the kind of effort we need to give it, we need to pick up a several points higher than what the requirements are with the buyer. So we'd be looking to pick up 4 or 5 points higher than what our typical margins would be.
Now, let me understand what that does. For those additional 4 or 5 points, we're talking an incredibly different marketing strategy than a traditional retail product. We have end caps, continuous loop tapes, signage, circulars, etc., and that's what makes up the difference between a hot product?
Yeah, no question. In many cases, many of our ads are paid for by the vendors. Well, in some cases of the TV product, they do not give us incremental dollars to run an ad. So the cost of advertising becomes Venture's cost of advertising. Therefore, there has to be at least enough margin to cover that cost of promotion. When we run a circular, and our circular goes out to 10 million people, our average cost per page is very high. And in most of these TV products, we don't get advertising. So that has to come out of the margins.
So, Cal, speaking as an industry now, not just from Venture stores, have you found this same phenomenon to be occurring amongst your colleagues in the retailing business?
Yeah, no question about it.
Cal, a lot of the people that are listening to this program have product and they want to get it into retail, and they really just don't know what type of volume that a company like yours would actually order from them. Could you give us some type of range?
Well, I'll give you one item, and it's one that we got caught on, and I'll go back to the Jack Lalanne juicer.
Mm-hmm.
We sold in that ad about $200,000 worth of juicers and took $500,000 worth of rain checks.
My heavens.
We underprojected it to that degree because it was the first time in the ad. We ran it on the front page. We had no idea how much it would do. And a $200,000 projection was quite aggressive because an item like that typically, in the space we gave it, would do half that much volume.
So it's a significant category. And in television, I mean, that's the bottom line, listeners, what we have here, is television is changing the face of retailing. Cal, in closing, knowing that our listeners are the people that either have or manufacture the products or looking to get into the business, looking for the right partners, etc. From the retailer standpoint, what would be a bit of wisdom that you would like to share with our listeners?
I think they need to make the contacts at retail because many of these products, they could be dealing with as many as 3 or 4 different buyers, and many people bring more than one product to market. In my case, I have direct contacts with all the marketing people. I sit down with them one-on-one and make sure that Venture is aware of the new product that's available in the market and that my people are responding to it, reacting to it, planning it. I think it's very important that they have the right contacts with the retailers to make sure that the retailer hears about the product and knows about the item and when it's going to go to retail.
Well, there you go, folks. Television is changing the face of retailing, and you're in, as I've always said, you're in one of the best industries in the world when it comes to direct marketing and direct response television. Cal, the Marketing Direct Journal would like to thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Cal. Jovan, thank you very much for having me here today and being a part of the Marketing Direct Journal. I'd like to say, if there is anyone out there that isn't a subscriber, please get in contact with Jovan. You know, Jovan cannot consult everybody, nor can everybody afford Jovan to have them be consulted. So, Jovan, I'd like to thank you and good luck.
You're welcome, Fred. You know, I do the Marketing Direct Journal because I have a passion for this business, and I can't stress it more. You're in the best business in the world if you're within this industry. And now, if you have a product idea or service, or you have something you want to share with our listeners, or if you're a vendor and you want to get more exposure in this industry, and you want our listeners to hear directly from you, because I feel that's the best way to hear from somebody, I know if I can sit in front of someone and give my message and knowledge that I can make the sale. You should have the opportunity too. Give us a call at the Marketing Direct Journal or fax us. The number's on the cassette, and we'll discuss featuring you on an upcoming issue of the Marketing Direct Journal. Fred, thank you for being with us today, and as I always say, listen, learn, apply, and earn. Well, folks, that's it for this issue of the Marketing Direct Journal, and we at the Journal would like to extend our special thanks to Bobby Paulino and, of course, Paul Royce Cook of Windsor Sound Studios for the incredible saxophone music and theme song featured in each issue of the Marketing Direct Journal. Also, our thanks go out to Audiocom for duplicating the Journal. Now, you can reach Windsor Sound at 703-369-9768 and Audiocom for your duplicating needs at 419-474-5793. Until next time, this is Jovan for the Marketing Direct Journal. Hi, this is Jovan for the Marketing Direct Journal, and I'd like to welcome you to this latest edition of the Marketing Direct Journal on audio cassette. Now, as of our last tape, the Marketing Direct Journal had over 4,000 listeners, but within the last 30 days, those listeners have grown by over 1,500 new listeners. With a pass-around rate of 2 times, the Marketing Direct Journal's monthly message on audio cassette is reaching over 11,000 individuals in supporting and interested in getting in the direct response mass marketing industry. Now, if you have an idea, a topic, a concern, or you're a vendor to the industry and like to have your message heard, please give us a call at the Marketing Direct Journal. You'll speak with Christy Brown, our associate editor, and remember, the number for the Marketing Direct Journal is on the label of this audio cassette. Okay, now if you've just recently joined the Marketing Direct Journal's monthly listeners, last month you missed Stop the Insanity by Susan Powder, the mega infomercial marketing success which is breaking records left and right. It's an interesting story of how Susan chose infomercials and the mega marketing success of Stop the Insanity put together the right team to set infomercial marketing history records. You also missed how to turn 1 million retail buyers into 1 million direct response buyers. A simple technique that we can use in the industry to convert retail buyers into direct response buyers and expand your base business. You also missed cashing in on celebrities, how to get the celebrities you want for your TV and your direct response marketing campaigns, and a very important topic, continuity. Continuity, we did an interview with Andy Thompson of Intermedia Marketing with John Marsh of American Telecast. It was an interesting segment on how you can capitalize on continuity selling. Now in this issue, we're going to cover some vitally important topics. One area we're going to cover is the 5 common missed items in your TV and infomercial contracts. Any one of these can help you not only save millions, but make millions with your television products. Also in this issue is how As Seen on TV products are revolutionizing the retail industry. It's an interview direct with the retailer, not a retail distributor. Also on this issue is flexing a firm hold on infomercial history. We have Body by Jake's, Jake Steinfeld, Mr. Battissimo himself, and how he chose infomercials to get his message, program, and products across America. Now hold on to your seats because we have two special features on this issue of the Marketing Direct Journal. 12 billion advertisements, all wanting products just like yours. It's an interview with Jess Clark of Catalog Solutions and Reed Taylor of Taylor Gifts. We also have a very special one-on-one, in-depth interview with cosmetic entrepreneur, infomercial history maker, Victoria Jackson. It's titled Live Your Dreams Through Infomercials and Just How She Did It. So stay tuned because all of this is coming up on this issue of the Marketing Direct Journal. Okay, welcome back to the Marketing Direct Journal. You know, if you got a copy of the Marketing Direct Journals, But Wait, There's More, How to Make More Money with Your Television Products, and how to capitalize on the some 28 areas of back-end marketing that are integrated into your direct response mass marketing areas for your television products, well, you heard our guest host. His name is Fred Katona, and I'd like to welcome to this issue of the Marketing Direct Journal, Fred Katona.
Thanks, Jovan.
Now, this segment we call News and Views. It's where we talk about news and views that are going on within the industry, and we'll share with you some interesting facts about this industry. Now, Fred, I know you and I have talked about this before, but I honestly believe that this is the best industry in the world to be involved with.
Right now, if you look at the companies that are traded publicly, you will see that they are making astounding growth for themselves. We're probably in the eye of the hurricane.
Well, Fred, I agree with you there. I think this is the best industry in the world to be involved in. Now, our listeners, what I'd like to share with you is there are 5 leading public companies that are involved right now in direct response mass marketing. We kind of watch them as an indicator. And please remember, you don't have to have a product idea or service or even be one of the advertising agencies or one of the vendors in the industry to participate in the phenomenal growth of this industry. You can actually participate from an investing standpoint in the stock market. Let me give you some figures here. Let's look at national media, innovators of the Amazing Discovery series. Over the last year, their stock was at a low of about $2, and today its high is in excess of $12.
Amazing.
Let's look at the Finger Hut companies and their division USA Direct and Finger Hut.
Right.
They've been making a big splash into the industry. Well, less than a year ago, their stock was $25, and today its high is in excess of $40.
Incredible.
And the phenomenal one to watch that's growing on a daily basis is, of course, QVC. Less than a year ago, QVC was a $16 a share stock, and today, as of this recording, it is over $52 a share. Home Shopping Network, a year ago, $4, now $9. And let's look at Regal Communications, the old Synchronol Corporation. Well, a year ago, they were not quite $2, and today they're in excess of $7 as a high. That is a tremendous indicator of the growth and respect this industry is getting.
So don't stand around with your hands in your pocket. Get involved some way, shape, or form into this industry. Is that the message, Jovan?
That's the message. It's growing by leaps and bounds. There are more opportunities now in this industry than there ever has been before. Now, I'd like to give you some facts about this industry. You can write these down as sales facts if you're trying to get products or promote your company about the strength of the infomercial industry. and television and direct response. But if you're one of the people that are considering getting into the industry, you should know these facts, because this is the epitome of the power of television. Now, as most of our listeners know, in my success with triple edge windshield wipers, I was able to put together a program that sold over 20 million triple edge wipers. Now, if you break that down to the ridiculous, what that means is that in America, a pair of triple edge wipers were sold every 3 seconds.
Repeat that, Jovan. That's unbelievable.
In America, a pair of triple edge wipers were sold every 3 seconds. That is the cumulative efforts of television direct response and integrated mass marketing. Let's look at the new phenomenon in our industry, Susan Powter's Stop the Insanity infomercial. It is currently clicking away at an order every 36 seconds.
Wow.
Let's just look at an infomercial show alone. Let's take the Amazing Discoveries RE car wax. Now, you know, all of us have seen it. It's where Mike Levy and Ian Long light the Rolls-Royce on fire. RE car wax sold at the rate of 1 unit every 25 seconds. And what does that mean in the term of episodic infomercials? The whole series of Amazing Discoveries? Well, every minute in America, 8 people pick up the phone and order an Amazing Discoveries product. That's a powerful figure.
That's powerful.
Now, one thing I'd like to share with our listeners, do you know when you receive this tape, the day that you receive this tape, and during the course of the day you're listening to this 90-minute presentation, over $2.8 million in infomercial sales will occur. I call that a wave, and folks, it's the wave of the future. Now, what I'd like to share with you is an interview which features Susan Powter from Stop the Insanity and longtime industry favorite Ron Popeil, yes, of Ronco. This was an interview on infomercials and the power of TV conducted by Good Morning America's Sunday edition. Listen up. I think you'll find it very interesting.
Who's buying products advertised on infomercials? More than 101 million American consumers shopped from home last year. That's 55.2% of the adult population, up 3% from the year before.
So if you weren't watching us right now, you might be watching one of these.
It was about a year ago when I purchased my first Flowbee, and I was so excited about this piece of machinery for cutting hair that I thought I'd better buy one that day.
This amazing new kitchen appliance perfectly scrambles an egg inside the shell.
Tell me your name and your birth date, and I'll tune into your energy.
And the added bonus, this beautiful sweater is made with this incredible sweater machine.
You see, on our show, the product is the star.
The wok I'm going to cook with here is an authentic hand-hammered wok from the People's Republic of China.
Okay, let me put this on.
You're about 3 inches away from the scalp, aren't you?
Well, folks, here they are. Ron Popeil, founder and chairman of Ronco. That was Ron spraying his great-looking hair.
And we also have Susan Powter. She is creator of the motivational program Stop the Insanity. Thank you both for coming on board this morning.
Thanks for inviting us.
This is the dirt. What is the deal? Why the explosion all of a sudden, it seems like, of these infomercials? They're everywhere.
Well, first of all, the infomercial allows the consumer to get a real depiction of a product where in a couple of years ago, when I say a couple of years ago, I mean 15 or 20 years ago, we could only run 2 minute, 1 minute, and then 30 seconds commercials. It's very, very difficult to introduce a product, show all the problems relating that are in the marketplace, show a product that solves those problems, tell the price of the product, tell the consumer where to get the product, all in 30 seconds. Now we have the opportunity in 30 minutes to do the right kind of job of introducing a product, solving the problems, and bringing needed products to the marketplace at a reasonable price and making it very convenient for the consumer to buy it.
Okay, but that's a perspective from the salesman's point of view.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is we all know what television is. It's the most pervasive medium there is. And a half an hour on television reaches a lot of people. If you're going to sell something, why not use this medium? You guys know how powerful it is. I chose infomercials because, number one, it's a half an hour on television. Number two, it reaches as many people as I could even possibly want to reach. And number three, it gives me, as you said, a half an hour to get this message out, as opposed to 60 seconds or 90 seconds. But again, it's infomercials have changed a lot in the last couple of years. What they used to be, they're not anymore. They're really changing.
But you're selling a concept, though, and Ron is selling a product.
Well, I'm selling a product as in a box. I mean, I sell tapes. I have audio tapes and
but it's still
video
a
tapes.
concept.
Really.
You're asking someone to
We're telling the truth, Dana. We are selling the truth to women in this country. It's true. We are.
Do you think that this is what the founding fathers, and they were men, of television envisioned when they started this industry?
Oh, no.
No way.
No.
No way. But the infomercial is really the mail order business. But the mail order business didn't have any serious credibility until the past couple of years from Fingerhut or Home Shopping Network or QVC. Those companies made the 800 number what it is today, money back guarantee.
Yeah.
So there's a believability. Big cities, the population of big cities weren't the main mail order purchasers. They were the small communities where there weren't any stores. It's all changed in the past couple of years. So it's the mail order business now being accepted by the American consumer, as well as the extension of time that allows us to really do a good selling job on the product.
But this stuff is not cheap either. You're asking people, It seems like the magic number is $39.95. Everything.
Well, I had a woman call. I did an interview the other day, and a woman called and said that she ordered Stop the Insanity and a $1,200 Nautitrack thing or whatever it was all in one day. I couldn't believe it. I said, what is that? Like a lot of money to call in and spend. Yeah.
Who is buying stuff? Is it women? Is it men? Are they buying late at night? Are they buying in the morning? What's the routine?
Well, on my products, 50% of the people are, approximately 50% are men and 50% are women.
I wonder what you could do with my hair, Ron. I mean, come to think of it. Now, Ron, you got to spray. Do something, Ron. Leg hair. I want big blonde hair.
Joe Vaughn, that was an incredibly powerful piece. Susan Powder, Stop the Insanity. Where did that name come from?
Stop the Insanity is probably one of the best names for a product I've ever heard. Susan was very meticulous in choosing that title because it's absolutely descriptive of her message. Therefore, that's one of the factors that contributed to Stop the Insanity becoming the mega infomercial success that it is today. Names are very important. We were talking about Triple Edge earlier. Well, Triple Edge was originally called the Smear Clear, and it wasn't a very descriptive name to actually what the product did. Therefore, some of the major successes you remember by the product name what they actually do. Thigh Master, Gut Buster, Abdominizer. Interestingly enough, the name of the product can directly affect the results of the product, and it's very important to pay attention to that. Let me give you an interesting bit of trivia when it comes to naming your product. There once was a man that in 1876, when he got married, and he went on his honeymoon with his wife, he stayed in an inn in rural New Jersey, and the innkeeper's wife made him and his wife a pitcher of herb tea. Now, this herbal tea invigorated this groom and his bride. It made them feel really good. And he couldn't get the formula or the taste off his mind, so he actually bought the formula from the innkeeper's wife and turned it into a product. Well, he took it back to his own area in Pennsylvania and was going to sell it to Pennsylvania coal miners. Well, when he started to sell it and offer his herbal tea, it was a bomb. It was an absolute bust until one of his friends recommended, hey, coal miners are not going to drink herbal tea. They're a tough brew. So thus, they decided, well, let's call it a beer. Well, Mr. Ayers decided to call it root beer, and thus marketing history was made, all through a name, positioning the name to sell to the buying public. Root beer went on to become a major marketing success back in the days when Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola were just regional pops, and they accomplished it all through direct response print ads in the Ladies' Home Journal.
Very interesting.
Now, what I'd like to share with our listeners is an upcoming event you need to mark on your calendar. It's the National Infomercial Marketing Association's mid-year conference and seminars. They're May 17th and 18th at the Plaza Hotel, which is 59th and 5th in New York City. If you're interested in getting information on registration, please call NEMA at 202-962-8342. If it's anything like any other National Infomercial Marketing Association conferences, you're going to meet the who's who and the players in the infomercial marketing industry. Mark it down, May 17th and 18th on your calendar, and be there. Now, Fred, what I'm going to share with our listeners is some important demographic on who buys through television, and I'm going to cover that when we come back on the Marketing Direct Journal.
Terrific.
Okay, welcome back to the Marketing Direct Journal. You know, the Marketing Direct Journal's goal is to give our listeners information and details that they can use in their daily business to help them maximize the success potential and sales success of their television and direct response products. This session, we're going to be talking about who buys through television. The following is a profile of the television home shopper. Now, according to the AC Nielsen Company, there are over 87 million households with at least one television. Approximately 55% of these 87 million households are cable subscribers. And this represents about a 4% rate of growth from 1985, which is expected to continue. Now, at least 6% of these more than 47.8 million cable households and 1.2% of the non-cable households, which is about 3,500,000 households, regularly buy from television commercial programs, spots, and infomercials. Now here's a survey of a sampling of these 3 million households. 64% buy once a month or more. 66% watch commercial programs for more than 1 hour a day. 65% watch during the week after 11 p.m. 17% spent 10 hours or more per week watching home shopping channels. 44% watch over 2 hours per day. 58% have a household income of $35,000 or more, and 71% spend more than $30 per purchase. 24% spend more than $71 per purchase. And $61 is the average shopper's monthly purchase. Now, 48% of these people have purchased from mail-order houses in the past 6 months as well. And 95% of these people are aware of and know exactly what infomercials are. And these people have at least 2 nationally recognized credit cards. And you have to understand how this all affects each other. These people buy from print and from television. So maximizing your sales through integration and capitalizing on the back end is as equally as important as doing a successful television campaign. Now, as far as the Home Shopping Network, their average sale is about $45, and QVC is about $80. Bottom line, it's important to note that during any 24-hour period, 3.5 million households in the U.S. are tuned in to an infomercial for at least 30 minutes. And what does that mean on a 24-hour basis? That means in excess of $2.8 million in sales in infomercials alone every day of the year.
Tremendous. Tremendous.
Welcome back to this segment of the Marketing Direct Journal. You know, I promised you last time that I was going to bring you a powerful story of direct response and infomercial marketing success. Well, we call this segment Flexing a Firm Hold on Infomercial Marketing History. Well, it's an interesting combination. It's a fat kid from Brooklyn with a stutter, weights, and Frank Sinatra. Please welcome to the Marketing Direct Journal, Mr. Battissimo himself, Jake Steinfeld, and Phil Scotty, President, Body by Jake Licensing Corp. Welcome, guys.
How you doing? Good to be here, Javon.
Well, gentlemen, you know, we have seen your incredible show that's on the air right now being run by USA Direct, The Firm Flex. Now, Jake, you've been all over television, and you've had a lot of options at doing products and marketing items. Number one, why did you choose infomercials? But first, tell us about the fat kid from Brooklyn with a stutter.
Well, I'll tell you something. I guess I could do this, like in a nutshell for you. Yes, I was a fat kid. I did have a terrible stutter. I came from a great family who was always really, really behind me and always let me experience and let me explore things. I kind of never forget, I was 13 years old, getting ready to get bar mitzvahed, and my mom went to get me my suit, and on that suit, we walk into this beautiful place called Sims out over in Long Island, and all the people out there are going to say, I know Sims. And I'm looking at these beautiful suits, and the guy looks at me and says, Husky. And I said, what does Husky mean, He walks us down, and there on the suit lapel, or right on the sleeve, it's embroidered, embossed, Husky. And I asked my mom, what does Husky mean? And she turns all red and says, well, it means you're a young man, And, like from that point on in time, I knew there was something wrong because the suit wasn't that attractive looking. It looked kind of like a shower curtain with buttons. And I said, there's really something that I have to do here. And of course, my pop was into working out and things like that, and he had bought a set of weights for me, and just basically put them there. Didn't kind of force me into doing things. And every night, every once in a while in the evening, instead of doing my studies, I would do my bicep curls. And I used to love listening to Frank Sinatra's I Did It My Way. And I put on my big headset, had this little skinny mirror on, right there in front of me, and I'd be doing my bicep curls with this wild applause at the end of Frank's tune. And I would think, here I am, Jake Steinfeld doing his bicep curls in front of 10,000 screaming people at Madison Square Garden. And actually, because of the working out, I was able to get a lot more confidence, a lot more pride in myself. And my parents never really made the stutter a big thing. I mean, they didn't put me in special classes. They kept me in mainstream. And because of the working out, because of the exercise, I was able to get a lot more confidence in me. And, I still do stutter every once in a while, but it isn't as bad as it was, and I like to challenge myself. So I like to get up and speak. I like to do my television shows, and like I say, don't quit.
And all of that launched your career of helping people get fit and get in shape. You're all over the television,
thanks,
cable
man.
TV, etc. Now, what made you choose infomercials? And now you're in a unique position because you're in some cases you're a product manufacturer that has delved into infomercials,
right?
And you're a celebrity as part of the infomercials. What made you decide to do it?
I'll tell you something, and I was very excited to be able to talk about this kind of stuff because I have to say the person that really convinced me to do the infomercial is this guy on the other end of the line over here, Phil. I I was dead against them, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people who were dead against them early on. I just, I came from the fitness business. I wasn't a movie star or a television celebrity who had a good physique, and people came to me and said, "Hey, Jake, would you like to endorse our product?" Fitness was my business and still is my business. And I knew that if I was going to get involved with something, endorsing something or coming up with something on our own, we have a very good following of people that we were able to build over the years. And it would have to be a great product done magnificently, nothing cheap and nothing cheesy, just straight ahead, straightforward, the way I do it, with a little touch of humor into it, and make sure the product was a really good product. You know how people say, well, sometimes you don't need the steak as long as you have the sizzle. And when I used to watch infomercials early on, it seemed that there was a lot of sizzle. I mean, these guys are great salesmen, but there really wasn't much steak there. And that's what I was nervous about. Phil had done a lot of work, I guess as far as interviewing and, kind of reading up on these. I guess there were many companies who were actually doing these infomercials, and came back to me with a list of people and said, listen, if we do it, we'll do it first class and classy, because I couldn't afford to get, slammed in any way by doing a product. I mean, I've been offered to do endorsements and to do infomercials for the longest time, and I never really wanted to because I was very nervous that it just wouldn't be, accepted into mainstream. And once again, I mentioned Phil's name. He's on the other line. He can chime in when he wants to chime in, but he was the guy that really said, Jake, this is definitely where the world is headed, and infomercials are definitely the place to be. And we will do it, not if we do it classy. We will do it classy.
Phil?
And we'll do it the right way.
That's right. Jake's 100% right. I mean, not to serve as a self-promotion for the infomercial industry, but it was phenomenal. We looked with reservation like many companies have. We watched it for many years. We saw it changing. And we had a product that we developed jointly with Diversified Products, a manufacturer, teamed up with a phenomenal company, USA Direct, for the television marketing. And it has been a classic success story. I don't believe there's any other way we could have launched this product where it could have achieved the success that it has today on TV and in retail without doing the infomercial.
Now, Phil, what would you say was your hardest decision to make involving this process? Because now on your side of the coin, Phil, you're dealing with talent and product. What was the hardest decision to make?
Well, the hardest decision, to be honest with you, was simply, Body by Jake Licensing Corp. has a number of items in our venue, and we've been billed and positioned as a lifestyle license in the 90s. We're involved in a lot of projects. Jake is one of the fastest moving people on television, and our concern was the credibility factor, to be honest with you, in that it had to be the right product, it had to be the right show, and it had to be the right partners to hook up to do this, because you have one shot at it from a credibility standpoint, and we needed to make sure that it was a winner. And fortunately, all things came together. Jake, of course, in seeing the show is phenomenal. The product mix is good, our partners, and I think, Jovan, it was more of making sure that all the elements were in place to make it happen.
It's also very, very important. People throw this little word around very easily sometimes. A word called, it's a word called synergy. And what we had with Body by Jake Licensing and USA Direct and DP, everybody knew what they were bringing to the table, and that's why it was able to work really the way it's worked so well. People didn't want to jump in and tell me how I should do what I do every day, and we didn't tell USA Direct, because the one thing we did learn, Jovan, is that there is definitely a formula. There's an A plus B equals C when doing an infomercial.
Jake?
Something that I definitely learned.
This is Fred Katona. What I wanted to ask you, what is your philosophy as a salesperson? Because you're perceived as a very nice person, as my buddy. What is your basic philosophy in selling?
Well, is to be as honest as you can possibly be, and be yourself, and to know, and this is the God's honest truth, if this piece of equipment I obviously will not be sitting here talking to you now because I wouldn't have done the infomercial. I have much too much to lose with my name as Body by Jake from a name that I built on, like a word of mouth sort of a situation where here you bring it to an infomercial,
right,
and millions, and I mean millions of people see this thing,
right,
and you have the television doesn't lie. They say the camera doesn't lie. If you're scamming on people, I really believe I've been around now for 14 years doing this whole fitness thing and a lot of different things, and I've done 100 mall appearances, and I've met all kinds of people, and I'm telling you the truth, American people are getting smarter and smarter and smarter, especially when they're watching television, especially when they're watching infomercials.
That's right.
And I don't look at myself as a salesman. I mean, I know really what I'm doing. I'm out there conveying a positive image, if you will, that if you do a little bit of something every morning, ease into a workout, enjoy yourself, don't make exercise a second job, have fun with it, and don't quit.
One of the things I found, and Jake, you brought up a very good point, when you, folks, as listeners, when you know your product, when you know your stuff, when you have a passion for what you do, and look at the products in the industry, they came from people's hobbies, old ideas, passions from people.
That's right.
You're not a salesman any longer.
Right.
You're a professional educator. You're educating people on the benefits of working with this product or with this system.
I like that. I'm writing that down right now.
Now,
professional educator. Okay, great, got it.
Now, Jake, let's look at this thing in an overall perspective. You've been on TV. You're highly recognizable. Now, let's throw infomercial into the equation and the exposure you have achieved from that. What have you heard from people, the American public, when you travel?
That's a very good question. Right off the bat, I can tell you that I've been approached by, I would say, 5 or 6 major corporations to do endorsements for cereals, for light beer, I can't tell you how many offers I've gotten to do. Jake, would you do? Can you pitch cereal? Would you pitch a soft drink? Would you do this? I mean, from the biggest of the big, and on top of that, television offers and some movie offers of people saying, "Wow, Jake, I really never saw you this way before." I'm thinking, what is this way? I'm just being me. I think what really starts to happen, you guys, as really with everything, is if you become successful in something, everyone's eyes all of a sudden lighten up and say, "Hey, wow, where have these guys been?" It's only been 14 years.
But overnight success.
Right, exactly. But they see something, and which really kind of reminds me. I called up my pal Spielberg and he was telling me, he says, "Jake, I see you all over the place. Every time I put the television on, man, it's whether it's 4 in the morning, 5 in the evening, 2 in the afternoon, I see you, whether it's a sitcom, the fitness show, or this infomercial." And I said, "Wheels," I said, this infomercial is my ET. And he just laughed and said, "It looks great. It looks like it's going to sell a zillion."
That's absolutely dynamite. Now, Phil, let me in closing here, okay? I'm going to ask Phil first and then Jake. Phil, what would be the one bit of wisdom that you learned going through this process? And now I understand you're going through new processes in infomercials right now as we speak. What is the number one bit of wisdom that you would share with our listeners who are either in the business or thinking about getting in the business?
I think that, it can't be summed up in a simple statement. I think the key is know exactly what you're doing, what your product is, and I guess one little tip as far as this business goes, and it's the same in any direct marketing, you have to have the right concept, the right unique selling proposition or hook or presentation. We found that with the Firm Flex and our Simple 7. We know who Jake's audience is. We know what people needed in fitness. We knew the product fit. And it all evolves around, including the entire team, your single focus of what you're presenting and what people are grasping from that show.
Now, Jake, what would you share with our listeners?
I got to agree with Phil, but just to kind of sum the whole thing up, it's very easy to put out sizzle. You know, you got to make sure, if you have the steak, you got to make sure you have the steak in order to have that sizzle. And that is the real equation. If you have the steak, you can put the sizzle on it, and that's going to equal success.
Well, folks, there you go. I think to sum up from the Marketing Direct Journal standpoint, know who you're dealing with, know what you have, and again, as we've said before, Fred, live your dream. Have a passion for what you're doing, and it will come to fruition. Bill and Jake, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this edition of the Marketing Direct Journal.
All right, boys.
Thank you, Jim.
Good luck.
Thank you, man.
Okay, here it is. On the last issue of the Marketing Direct Journal, I told you I was going to bring you a story about how you could maximize your potential for creating an infomercial marketing success. I told you what would you do if you could have Mike Levy's formula, Amazing Discoveries, of creating mega infomercial winners one right after the other. What if you could follow the pattern and the look of a Lenny Lieberman, or a Packy McFarlane, a Steve Ober, or a Tony Hoffman, maybe even a script to screen. People who have produced mega winning infomercials. If you could have this formula, you could be a success too. Well, we call it monitoring for money, and that's what's coming up next on the Marketing Direct Journal. Welcome back to the Marketing Direct Journal. In this segment, we have our regular returning guest commentator, John Kogler, publisher of the Jordan Whitney Direct Response Television Monitoring Report. In this segment, we're going to talk about blueprints to big business. I told you about it earlier. What if you could have Mike Levy's formula for infomercials with Lenny Lieberman's formula for infomercials and follow the styles and success of like Packy McFarlane or Steve Ober? Well, you can do it by using John Kogler's new Jordan Whitney Info Library. John, welcome with us today.
Thank you very much, Jovan.
John, tell us about this Jordan Whitney Info Library.
As you know, in incident to producing our report, we obviously tape and have a number of other people tape shows literally all over the country. Those shows we keep on masters, which we've accumulated for some long period of time now. At this point, we have well over 1,000 infomercials, and probably that in many spots, short form as well. We initially only provided access to the library, that is, half-inch copies of shows, to our subscribers as an adjunct to the report they get. And we were just overwhelmed by demand for shows from New York advertising agencies to producers to almost anybody you can think of. And so finally, reluctantly, we've opened the library up to the general industry at large. A good example, interestingly enough, there's nothing that is, I think, more instructive in constructing a show, writing it, and also shooting it, than looking at shows that have been done before, both those that have worked and those that haven't worked, because I think you may learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. We had a call from a producer about an hour and a half ago from a studio in Los Angeles who's in the middle of a shoot and said, gee, I need these two shows. Can you get them to me? And they are, as we speak, being messengered up to Los Angeles. So I think it's invaluable to the industry, and we're very excited with the response.
So this is literally a video blueprint to winning shows, losing shows. I would assume you would use it to research demonstrations, to look at other people's work to see where they had winning demonstrations or what lost.
Demonstrations, demonstrators, stars. There are a lot of shows that even the big names in the business are not aware of because they had a short history or for a lot of other reasons. And we also have them all broken down and indexed by category. So if someone were interested in housewares, for example, they could call and say, gee, I'd like to see what you've got in your housewares category, and we could send them a list, and they can pick out a reel, for example, of shows that might be interesting in whatever
John, what are your categories for the info library?
Well, we have, I'll try to do these in alphabetical order, our automotive, beauty and personal care, business opportunities, crafts, hobbies, and collectibles, diet and weight loss, entertainment, health and fitness, housewares, and then a broad self-improvement educational category.
So I'd assume we'd still contact you at 714-832-0737 or by fax at 714-832-3053 and just give you a listing of the category we'd like to see. You fax out a list of the shows you have available, and then we pick and choose for our review from there.
That's correct.
Now, John, I'd like to address an issue. I see another definite trend going on in the industry, and that's that a lot of the infomercial providers are now going to spot production. You know, a standard budget, let's say, is anywhere between $200,000 and $250,000 now for a good-looking show. And now these infomercial providers are now finding that they can spend that same budget that they normally do one infomercial and test anywhere from 5 to 10 spot products. Do you see that same trend?
That's undoubtedly true, and probably I think is going to be. I think that there is going to be more of that. We call one form of that the reverse derivative infomercial, and that is where something goes from spot to infomercial. The Bedazzler was a Bedazzler spot before the Amazing Discoveries Bedazzler Plus show. Same thing happened from Interwood with the Easy Step. They shot a spot first. The spot was successful, and then they shot an infomercial.
I know DD7 did it, and I know while I was at National Media, I did it in a little different reverse. We did the human calculator first in an infomercial, and then in reverse, instead of selling a $49.95 audio package, we did the upsell video, which was $19.95, did a spot and released it in the market to drive retail. So you see that as a definite trend.
Absolutely.
Listeners, I'd like you to take down this number again. It's for the Jordan Whitney Direct Response Television Monitoring Report and for the Jordan Whitney Info Library. Remember, blueprints to big business. You can reach John Kogler at 714-832-0737 and stay tuned for future issues where John will share with you his wisdom of what's going on in direct response television. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jovan.
This concludes this side of the cassette. Please fast forward to the end to cue up the other side.